Greetings everyone and welcome back to 365 Days of Prog. Today we're going to be reviewing the album Present from Nancy by the band Supersister.
Hi, my name's Naomi. I'm an avid progressive rock fan, but I'm a long ways from knowing all the prog albums out there. But this year, I'm gonna give it a try. This is 365 Days of Prog.
And as always, of course, here are some of my favorite bits off of this album, so enjoy. Supersister actually started off as Sweet OK Sister, which is definitely a level up from Sweet OK Sister to Supersister, but they formed back in 1967 in Hague in the Netherlands, and we have yet another really early prog band on here. Now, their sound of Supersister really resembles a lot of what came out of the Canterbury scene at the time. And if I had to try and describe their sound, I'd have to say that it's part Frank Zappa, part Caravan, part The Soft Machine, part Gentle Giant, part Egg, and part of Syd Barrett's Pink Floyd. So as you can tell, this is a very interesting thing that they've got going on here, and it's really all over the place, much like a lot of the things that you heard in the Canterbury scene in those times. But of course, for all of you who are not acquainted, the Canterbury scene of course happened in Canterbury itself in England, and these guys, well, they're not from England, but they did sound like they came from there, and their music is in English, so they are categorized under the Canterbury scene, but they are totally not from there. Now, this album, Present from Nancy, is their debut album as a band. If I believe correctly, they worked together beforehand. As I said, they formed a fair amount of years beforehand, but they released this as their debut album, and this is nonetheless a very unconventional album. And this album has a lot of different musical ideas. Almost each and every song here has some really odd time signature on it. Obviously, what comes to mind first is the track called 11_8, which is in fact in 11/8 time signature, and it reminds me of another track that I really like in that same time signature, which is Lark's Tongues in Aspic by King Crimson, but of course they're not similar at all. And in addition, they also love to play with time shifts and like tempo shifts, and they love to play with a lot of experimentation on each instrument and the vocals, and I think this really makes this album really unconventional, and of course very unconventional in the Netherlands scene of prog. So yes, this album is musically and melodically complex, and I totally get that, but I found it to be pretty much annoying for some reason. I think that it felt like a lot of setup was going on. Everything didn't really fulfill itself in any meaningful way. There was just a lot of building up to something that led to nowhere. And although I could pretty much easily tell that the band was comprised of very talented individuals who could do a lot more with what they do, I was just really frustrated with the uneventfulness of this album as a whole. A lot of the songs on here, and I'm saying this as a generalization, but a lot of the songs on here, they're really, plain. They featured the same idea going over and over and over, and no matter how complex something you do is, if you repeat it enough times, it's gonna lose its charm. And that just really made me not want to give this album another listen. But if I do have to choose a favorite, as I always do from this album, I'd have to go with Memories Are New, because it's a fine song. Again, it's one of the ones that annoyed me, like most songs on this album at some point, but I do think that it is complex and nice enough, and it has a familiar section in it which really sounds like On the Run from The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, but of course this album came, I believe, 3 years prior. And no, I'm not saying that I think that Pink Floyd ripped off Supersister, I'm just saying that they have some sort of familiarity and similarities between them, and I find that to be pretty cool. But all in all, I don't know why I had sort of high expectations for this album, because I read good reviews about it and they praised it a lot for being very, very innovative and unique in its own scene. but I specifically did not see any of that, and looking objectively at the music, I really found it to be pretty unbearable at some point. But moving on to the cover of this album, this one, basically the only thing I like about it is the pose that they do with their legs, and I know they made like a recreation photo of that when a lot later, I think in 2000 and something, which is really cool. But other than that, I find this to be a pretty lazy cover and I don't like it all that much. So when it comes to the rating of this album, I'd give this one a 5 out of 10 because I don't think that this is necessarily a bad album, but I do know for certain that this one is not as good as it could be, and that's just a bummer in my opinion, but I guess that's what the band decided to do and that's what we're gonna have to stick around with. But I guess that's about it, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for tomorrow because we're gonna be listening to We Are Everything You See by the band Locomotive. Yet again, another very old and early prog album that we're getting on here. Tomorrow's episode is also going to be the 50th episode on this series, and I'm so glad that we're reaching that milestone, and I hope you all are having a great time watching this because I want to make stuff and content that really resonates with everyone and you can enjoy it and have it at your doorstep every single day. So if you like this journey, you might want to comment on this video, even leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, hell, you can do that. But that's about it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.